Welcome to this week's Read the Bible Together session. And we are continuing our Old Testament series. And we are continuing our little short series of some of the women of the Old Testament. So this week we are reading about Naomi and Ruth. You can follow along in the book of Ruth, chapter 1, verses 1 through 22. And we will be reading from the Spark Story Bible from Spark House Publishing. So, Naomi and Ruth. Naomi lived together with her two daughters in law, Oprah and Ruth. They were the only people left in their household. Even when times were hard because the famine hit the land, the three were always happy together. Girls, Naomi said one day, I've been thinking, life is better where the rest of the family lives. Let's go there. So they packed all their things and started off. Plod, plod, plod. It was a long and dusty walk. And halfway there, Naomi turned to Orpah and Ruth and said, I am only your mother in law. You should go back and live with your mothers. And with that, Naomi kissed them goodbye. And Oprah and Ruth cried, Boo hoo, we don't want to go back. We want to stay with you. And you can see the three women walking through the desert, through the hot dust. And it would have been hot and dirty walk. Naomi argued with them, This doesn't make any sense. You go back without me and start your lives over. Oprah dried her tears on her face and turned around on the dusty path and headed for home. But Ruth stayed with Naomi. I can't leave you, Ruth said. I will go where you go. I will live where you live. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. Ruth loved Naomi no matter what, and just like God loves us, no matter what. Naomi saw that Ruth meant what she said. All right, Naomi smiled, and they started walking again. Plod, plod, plod. When Naomi's family saw her coming, they welcomed her with open arms, and they shouted, Hooray! And ran to hug her and Ruth. Welcome home, they cried. Naomi and Ruth started a new life together, caring for each other just as God cared for them. And there you can see the women separating and saying goodbye to one another as they head off in different directions. The point of the story is that God's love is everywhere, and God loved the women no matter what decision they were making. And they lived in a very hard time for women to be alone. So they knew that God would provide just as God still does today. So talk about this story and imagine being women in these times of the Bible story and how difficult it must have been for them to make that decision on that dirty, dusty road.